That's awesome. I didn't check to see. I pressed record on the camera, not over here. Oh, all right. I got a dry run out of the way. It's all right. It's all good. We're feeling happy. We're feeling hypey. I just had a burrito earlier, and I was gonna go on a run, and I was gonna film this, go on a run, and then come back and try and refilm it earlier in the day. Then I realized that certain traffic would cause an issue later. It's okay. It's okay. Everything's okay. Everything's fine. I'm happy to create a response to a video that I had been doing my best, ironically, wow, this is gonna be annoying. Doing my best in order to slow my warmth to it. A subject that felt topically careless to me, or like was taken carelessly to me at first glance, in first phrasing or an initial phrasing, that I later realized to be a personal, not attack, but a personal almost vendetta against me, to me, in the form of archetypal figures. And I'm saying this to respond to a video on or by the Madeline OG, and it was titled, I wrote Gaslighting Men, and it was actually called how to annoy a man. And I respect the creativity in it. I think that it's a great observation. It's a very positive source or perspective to try and speak to in order to gain clarification for. So, in my notes from my audio clip, sorry, that was far away. In my notes from my audio clip, I initially wrote that I think her outlook is taken from a perspective of people that might might be a little bit more of an echo chamber. And while that isn't exactly an issue, it's more a question of concern, I guess. Just because in the psychological perspective or realm, we view something in the terms of its level of or for homeostasis and set points, overall set points of variability. And I think I wrote a better version of that. A person's ability for total or maximal self-expression. And then I had also written later in my notes that as a man, the time spent away from others has the potential to be more impactful than anything learned from a group setting, yet the group setting cannot be replaced or should not be attempted to. So the start of her video had said, or had kind of given, in my initial perspective, a superficial tone. And it's also a reason of why I departed from college, seeing the the degrees, no, oh no, not the degrees of freedom, the what's that called? I'm thinking of a statistical term. The It's gonna irritate me. I'm 5 minutes in. I better get this out right. A significant figure away from having, no wait, I got this. From having a significant figure. Wait, okay, how do I say this without sounding rude? Significant figure. Hold up. Let me. Okay. So, I guess what I was trying to get out, or what I would like to say, is that her view and outpour of what seemed like buzzwords has a characteristic of superficial nature, or what I would denote and carry to be the need to evaluate and observe an object, a person, and a figure in its most natural state, and then also having its most realistic desire outpoured. So with men, she had said a lot of the times men are too quick to anger or be expressive over something that they don't have statistical testing on. So like almost as if she was evaluating the clinical realm of almost as if she was evaluating the clinical realm of biological education in pharmaceutical application to the behavioral and psychological phenomena and theoretical solidification. So I say this to hope and ask that you, okay, so when I was writing this, I hadn't finished watching the video and I didn't even realize that I had only gotten halfway through. But I would have hoped that, like, just to have the best possible view for people, or like almost I had actually heard Jack Black say something about this, which is actually not his name. The actor Jack Black say that in doing something, so it's different when having to complete an action on your own versus being in a group setting, because a group setting requires the implications and actions as well as the reciprocation of other people. And he had said that when you're doing something and acting specifically, you create a makeup in your mind that then expresses positively because it was created well by you beforehand, or like it was created to be expressed. So you just shit. que me andé tan hueso sin pensar. I was thinking to put a timer on here, but I could just put one on my phone and then just work off that. So, I guess like filling out I guess I don't have a leg to speak on or stand on to speak to the nonchalant or carelessness that can be portrayed from expression, like the one renditioned in Madeline's video. But I guess in the terms or outlining the principle of echo chambers, if anybody or everybody that is in a scene that requires money to be spent and an image to be upheld, you're probably going to hear more of the same or be inure to... I say that carelessly because that's a word that I've been using frequently, and the fact that I repeat it now feels irrelevant. But inure to the realities or personas that exist. In time. Oh, that's where that is. In times more. Okay. So from there, that kind of leads me into the next point of mentors and guidance. Mentors are people. Damn it! Mentors are people that offer guidance, yet influencers are people that give guidance. So a influencer is not a mentor because they have people to influence. Yet a mentor is a person of influence based on characteristics or of the pride. What the hell, man? Yes, my battery or whatever. Mentors are people of influence, yet they rarely offer guidance. I actually had seen this specifically from Sensei, the last mentor that I had spoke to, not necessarily mentor that I had kept, because he trained the mentor that I carry respect for or find myself I guess training to outrank. And I say these things to bring to light the idea or the principle that I'm a diamond, or I see myself as a diamond in any right, less afraid to be shown, yet not looking to step into a light for just anyone. And I care about all facets of why something is done. So I think that kind of roots more into my appraisal and learning of different cultures regarding theology, I guess, religion, doctrine more, but Buddhism being one of them, and how the mental strength behind a physical action has just as much, I guess that just ties into virtue, but has just as much effect as the reward, the benefit, the return. Okay. Some of this is still impromptu, but that's okay. One of the things that was also mentioned was a man's temper. I don't necessarily negate that idea. I actually agree with that. I personally, as a man, have had to both okay, I've had to vary my tonality to be not even respect. I would say respected, but that would be a lacking of terminology based on the idea that a person does not do in order to receive respect. A person is given respect, does not have it. And I've learned that more as a growing male rather than a young man, because I didn't have anybody tell me how people would react to my essence of being in this world. And I guess changing my tonality had been more to prove a point, or to make a event of the fact that I'm less afraid to be seen in that light than I am to be unheard. So that's my response to that initially. And then I also believe that in terms of mentorship, women have more guiding perspective and like instructional perpetuity. That's the word that comes to mind. Also, Gregorian and another word kept coming to mind for whatever reason. I probably wrote it down somewhere too, but Gregorian came to mind right now, so I'm gonna say it. So annoying. So lack of example for expression from authoritative figures, I guess. While women are instructed, men generally have to watch. They can't observe to apply. They're seen as less than, or if they haven't been given the opportunity to excel, then said opportunities then become higher stakes at every level if they hadn't been reached or provided earlier. Okay, so I also would like to point out that passion over one thing that she had mentioned was that if men, or asking how do men exchange information, she said her and her closer related circle speak to exchange information, to like to have, I guess, a positive return from the energy I was gonna say exploitation, the energy, the expelling of energy. So in regard to that, information is similar in communication, or modes of communication are similar between men and women. So archetypally, I do think, or sorry, gender roles, which is technically archetypal as well, in my opinion, it does have the same modes of communication, yet those degrees do vary in terms of having bias, and then facing as trauma. So not like expressing trauma, but like almost being easier to bait into having somebody express that they feel your trauma showing through. So gaslighting again. Gaslighting. There we go. So here we are returning. So perception, experience, and reality are three different points of modes that are communication. So perception is the intake from your output of phrasing, expression, tone. The experience of both yourself and said person creates bias. So whether that being an age variability, or perceived wealth gap, or any type of caste. A reality I wrote to outline the setting, the hopes, I'd assume, and then the degree of freedom between each person. So if somebody sees another and doesn't see them as a threat, the reality of that is they may create a threat. So my faults in those generally forms of perception had been that I appear to carry a nonchalance or carelessness, and based on experience, as a younger man, I did have more less confidence, yet more cockiness. And as I've grown, I believe my confidence has grown and shown through more as arrogance. So reality had been something that I've experienced only so much to then try to gain perspective from others. And I wrote that perspective is one of the most valuable things that can be attained, and actually not taken away from you. I think I said that in my last video. So by that reasoning or ideology, lately, and also now that I'm 20 minutes into this, I can start getting really explicit. I found Patrice O'Neal yesterday when I wanted to make this video initially, and it changed not only my outlook on this take, but my reasoning in being a man, my take on comedy, it tied in why I had felt so much for a saying by Lionel Richie, I think, that greats live on in the moment, yet rarely live on to write their own biography. And I in repeating that to a person of a value to myself, I found myself tearing up for whatever reason, because I get it. Like, as I was saying it, I almost something clicked. And whether that being that it takes you out of yourself, or it takes you away from the idea that you can get hurt, or it takes you away from the availability to reframe and be normal again, any of those. I guess as an archetypal person or a believer in such theoretical principle, I'd say that we, as differing figures in not only gender roles but archetypal figures, mainly gender roles, don't have the same relative points of reference for a lot of different life, I guess, thresholds, and then people of reference to ask for general feedback, or like bouncing off the dice board, pinning on the wall or whatever. Yeah. So that does have some relation to a dwindling in third-party spaces for widening of two generations. And going back to archetypal roles and gender roles, I did also say a few days ago that I think the archetypal roles that we carry in this world outweigh the gender ones. And that's a new cultural point that is societally coming to turn, or more awareness. Took a little 5 to breathe, and if you have not done so, I would recommend you do the same, because it is about to get a little bit deeper, and it's probably just better for solidifying. Second time I've used that. Take a drink. I wanted to go back to society and culture after I mentioned the cultural necessity for males to have other males, more on the principle of the Spartan race, and how when people are more inclined to be there for one another, it creates in-groups and out-groups quickly, and women and men it creates in-groups and out-groups quickly, or it's readily available for men and women equally, yet expressed in variable or different ways. So mentors being important, yes, is valuable. I had personally found myself not even in the forms of mentors, but in the people that I had kept around myself when I was younger, to be happy coincidences, to be dire necessity, whereas that were it was previously, whereas now it becomes more of a happy coincidence to, or if it were to fall in line. And that's a part of growing up, where I think a lot of people, or I've seen seemingly a lot of people that are posting on socials, who are reflecting to say that they are seeing everyone as valuable, rather than essentially viewing their past with more virtue, rather than starving for nostalgia without actually having the diction to create a sentence in to create a sentence that is carried out to its end. And being an only child might have contributed to that, yet I did have a lot of family in different areas. And I will say the people that I kept close were, yet again, reflecting to, or referring to the prior, or the prior that I had listed, your group of influence or sphere of influence is where men, I believe women as well, I think women observe, but they observe differently. They observe the egos more than, which is a whole different topic of like egos. That's a Patrice topic. And so I guess I say that to transition or finish out with college and my perspective on how a higher ranking education creates more colleagues as a commemorative figure rather than a rightful attribute. And that is a Western understanding from a scope that has been less adept to having opportunity, I guess, to be very blunt. And yeah, I didn't have someone to exclaim to me the necessity for an understanding in this world that it is a Spartan race, and there's nobody watching your back. There's no reinforcement, Hellstorm, none of that cutesy until you make it. Then you better make it trace well. So I guess in terms of other people and respecting other people, women do have an impactful role in this world or said society of Western culture. And I do believe that them being a pendulum figure, again, outlining the Lacey, or the O'Neill, sorry, we mirrored in this topic of how women are a figure that is impactful, yet they seem to carry forms of abuse in said impact. And I have seen this in forms of kitchen service, where different types of kitchen, servicemen had been a bit aggressive, I guess, and women generally, despite being more at risk or demise to body dysmorphia, they were the heart and speaking role or characters behind most body dysmorphia speech in the workplace. And so if men do tend to have more of a performative nature or bias or any type of, for lack of a better word, trauma that has been exclaimed or remained or put up with afterward, the only thing that can be done is, I guess, acknowledging it. I do think that men carry more than they let on, and have more thoughts than they'd be able to confess. And I had seen something by Abigail Rose about having ego as being a necessity for being spiritual, and I do agree with that in some regards, pretty much all regards. Ego isn't a bad thing too. That's a different topic for a different day. But that it is a privilege to explore and create more existential behavior that is ego driven to have personal development. Yet if the expression of personal development is not sought after or adequately referenced, the nature of said does dwindle until it's non-existent. We're back. It makes a little okay. So ability, yeah, so specifically an ability to relate with emotionally integral figures. I think that women do that on a level than men that is much higher, and men generally have women to be their closest best friend, whereas women keep a lot of people to share information with, but don't actually necessarily have best friends, just people in which they share information with. But those streams of communication are very open. Okay. Let's whatever word. I did kind of want to say some more things about like being a male and like stuff, but this is already a really long video, and by editing it, I'll probably have more to say on different things. I hope that this wasn't too stern and I didn't come off so serious. I don't try to. It's just I've had a lot of input over the last 2 days, and I've also been resting from having my new job, and that's been a little bit exhausting. But no disliking of anything, I guess. If any positive reinforcement were to come out of this video, it would be taken with much higher reward. And yeah, I guess one of the last things that had stuck with me, well, actually 2 things, both regarding men of influence, whether that has been lately or in my core memory. I'm not going to say which one of these 2 men were of influence, but both of them had been mentors to me. One of them had said, if a woman, actually, this I'm going to add 2 of theirs. If a woman wins a lottery ticket and I am with her and she wins, I say, or I'm thinking, dang, my girl just won, or my girl just came up. But if I win, and like the male, the partner with I generally carries the trait of we won, or the trope of we won, without a second thought. And that's just going to be stated. The second thing that was mentioned was that it was kind of like a saying, like a proverb. I'm not going to say Eastern, but technically Eastern because it's more in the naturalness. But this could be Western. I come from a country in which the patty is a prominent figure of scent. That a bird one day was flying and it got too cold when it was flying in the wrong direction for migration or whatever. I think I added that. And in that, it froze up in flight to where it fell and had got shat on by a cow. And at first it was angry. So it was bickering and tweeting and, just firing up a storm. Whereas it also created warmth in the bird's wings. And as soon as the warmth hit the bird's mind and bypassed its nose, the exclamation was singing from curses. And the singing brought over a wolf or something. It could be a bear at those point, to come and dig through said filth to find a treat. And the point of that saying was that not everybody that shat on you is your enemy, and not everybody that cleans something up off you is your friend. So, whoa. And the last one is, this person was speaking about how they're a figure in which is seen as powerful or impactful, and that had been a point of reference for their relationship before. So, in some regard of fear, they were less likely to share this passion of, I'm just going to say, like, building puzzles. But it could be like assembling chairs. It could be building computers. It could be anything of like nerdiness, I guess, let's say. But that being done was hidden from his partner based on fear that that type of emotional investment to something frugal and childlike, or of that wonder, to be foolish or almost dwindling to his character, because we are speaking of men specifically in this regard. But regardless of fame, status, perceived image, all of these men are more aware of their ego in a space of disfigurement. And I say that to wrap up the gender topic here by referencing something that I don't necessarily know how to say, but I do know what it is. And it is Ronda Rousey speaking on the Bert Kreischer podcast. And I had thought Madeline had spoken to some male figures carelessly. Let me just say also, this morning she posted a video. More put together. I didn't watch it, but I'm trying to focus, and yeah. So again, I don't judge the person for speaking, but I will judge the words said. So this person being Rhonda, I actually invite you to watch it yourself, but said a lot of things that do outline the principle of ego and a woman's ego versus a man's ego. I don't really know how I want to go about this, because I'm still kind of dancing on the idea, working on male ego versus feminine. But I do stand on the topic that, like, women do need their shine sooner. Their genetic set point puts them, gives them a direction in which their body and their mind is going to be devoted towards something larger than themselves earlier in life. So, I'm all for, like, feminism, I guess. I just don't advertise it, and I'm not interested in it. But um, I was a little. I felt a little interested, I guess, by the initial, and then I had to click off a few times in watching. So yeah, nuance is important. I don't know how well the feminines or the culture of women do with respecting nuance as well as men do in appreciating nuance in others, egoless. So, yes. Until next time, I'm about to run out of film for this 10, so